everyone, welcome back to the Mom's View. We are so excited to have a special guest here today. This is Sadie Sabin. Right?
Yes.
I keep wanting to say Sabin or Sabin.
I keep just staring at her baby. I'm like,
I know. And her brand new baby, Henry. They're here visiting us, and we're just going to ask you a bunch of questions. Sadie has a blog called Simply Sadie Jane, where she is very inspiring and talks about amazing things, especially for women. I think all women can relate and be inspired.
Thank you. It's so nice.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself and your blog and the things.
So I actually graduated from college with a registered nurse degree, and I went straight into labor and delivery. And
we were picking your brain before. Like, wait, don't start rolling. I want to know all the things.
So we just have been talking.
Yeah.
We'll just stop right now and we'll talk about delivery and but I was a labor and delivery nurse, and I actually started a family blog because I'm actually one of 14. It's a mixed family.
Oh,
I know.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's
My mom had
cool.
8, and she got remarried and had 6, and there was 14 of us. So so my other sisters had family blogs, and I was like, well, I'll start one as well. So I started one, and it quickly became somewhere where I could tell my stories of labor and delivery, because it's the best and worst job. You know, you see the sadness, you see the absolute sacred happiness, and it's just amazing. So I started writing about that, and then I started writing about my family, and I soon wanted it to be more than just a blog. It was more of a journal for me.
Yeah.
And I did that, while I was a labor nurse, and then after Baylor, I've always kind of struggled with unhealthy habits, my eating and my fitness, and I struggled with being overweight. And after my second son, I was over 200 pounds, and I had extreme postpartum depression. And I remember one night I was breastfeeding him, and I just lost it. And immediately a flood of emotions came about the people that I had taken care of, the women.
Yeah.
And I thought, why am I feeling so alone? Why am I feeling so down? Why am I feeling so awful about myself when I take care of these women who are empowering and strong and motivating? And I'm like, I just had a baby. What's more powerful than that?
Right.
And I immediately was like, I'm changing this. No more playing the victim. I'm gonna whip myself into shape and fix what I've been missing. And I just felt like I'd been missing so much in my life. So that's kind of where my fitness journey began. Mm-hmm. And I, changed my nutrition and worked out, and I talk a lot about that on my blog. But I lost 80 pounds, and I kind of documented the whole thing as real and raw as I felt like I could. And, before that, my blog had been really kind of surface. I do tutorials, and I do this, but it was missing something, and that was me and my vulnerability. And when I released that, and when I showed that with my readers, it was like something changed within me and them, and I connected with them more than I thought I ever could.
Yeah.
And since then, I haven't looked back, and fitness has kind of been the primary, focus on my blog. And I was able to quit my job as a labor nurse and be home with my kids, but I was nervous about missing that connection with women.
Yeah.
Because what better job? You know how sacred and special that labor experience is.
Just these babies all the time.
I know, and it's just incredible. And now I feel like I don't miss it because I found my purpose as far as helping inspire women. And I connect with them on a different level. It doesn't have to be personal and one-on-one in a hospital room, but over the internet. And that's really my goal with my blog, is to have somewhere where people can go, especially women, when they feel lost, when they're new moms, when they feel alone, and know that they can be their best self even as a mother.
Yeah,
So that
you're
was
so
kind of
amazing.
long, but
No, oh my gosh, I feel like where do we start with her? I always stalk her Instagram because you were a couple weeks ahead of me, and so I was showing Jackson one night in bed. I'm like, look, she's overhead squatting, and she's 9 months pregnant, and I can't even walk right now. And then it was like you had him 2 days later. So that was amazing to me that you kept up with your fitness regimen through your pregnancy.
Well, it's funny because throughout my fitness journey,
because you CrossFit, right?
Yeah. So I started CrossFit I actually started a little bit before Baylor when I was trying to get my baby weight off with my first, but I went pretty hardcore after Baylor, and that helped a lot with losing the weight. And then I did a lot of at-home stuff with my kids, integrating the CrossFit stuff. So
that's fun.
Really fun. And I kind of got lost in my fitness journey for a couple years. I let the weight control me. I had severe body dysmorphia. I just felt like I looked in the mirror and I still had all that weight on me. Right. It was really interesting because, when you're losing the weight and when you're on this fitness journey, people don't tell you that you don't need to lose the weight to find yourself and to love yourself, you know.
Right.
And the self-love thing has kind of been a struggle my whole life. So I didn't find that until I lost all the weight, and I was actually the smallest I had ever been, and I still wasn't happy. You know, no number on the scale will give you happiness. No pant size.
It's like as soon as you reach that number, it's not good enough. You got to go further
Absolutely.
and further. It's like this,
especially
you can never
if you don't know who you are.
Yeah.
And I just was so lost and sad and just such a sad place. And I kind of told myself, I'm done having kids. Like, I'm not going to do that again. I can't gain the weight again. Like, I was in a very selfish, scared place. And through actually hypnotherapy and yoga and a lot of reading and learning about meditation and my self-love exercises that I found, I pulled myself out of it. And I don't want to get emotional, but
we'll start crying right away. You're in good company.
I'm still pregnant. I still have pregnant emotions. I know it's the postpartum emotions. But if I hadn't, I wouldn't have him.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to get lost in that, you know, especially when that's what you do for your living. And I just told myself that if I was going to do this again, I was going to do it right. With my other two, I felt like I didn't know anything. You know, you go into this so blindly, even as a labor nurse. You just eat what you want and you feel the emotions of being miserable and feeling miserable. And I just told myself, if I'm going to do this again, I'm going to embrace it. Every single pound, I'm going to embrace how I feel. I'm going to choose to feel good. And I know that's not a choice for everybody, but I was really lucky to feel like that. And so, going back to the CrossFit thing, I was able to work out through my whole pregnancy, and what a blessing. I mean, I stopped my first trimester because you're so sick, but and I still gained almost the same amount with my other two because that's what my body does. It just gains weight. But it made me feel so good. It was just completely
like it brought
different.
you energy and peace of mind. Yeah. That's why, like, with pregnancy, it's so hard because I feel like it's so easy to, like, how much have you gained? How much have you gained? And you kind of, I sometimes find comfort, like, okay, Kaylee's kind of, like, gaining as much as I am.
Yeah.
But I finally have been like, you know what? I can't, like, you can't focus on the number. Your body's going to do what your body's going to do. And some days do you feel like some days are easier than others? Yeah. You know, you accept it. Some days I feel great, and then some days I'm like, oh, I'm such a whale.
Totally.
I think if it is, like, really weighing on you, stop looking at the scale. Yeah. That's what I've done with 2 of my pregnancies. When I would go to the doctor, I just didn't want to know. I wouldn't look, and then it didn't matter.
Yes. Can I get on the scale backwards, please?
Yes.
You record it. I don't need to
do
know.
that. I did that. I totally did that.
Yeah.
I don't remember when it was, but I remember looking at the scale and I was like immediately, like it started coming. The depression, the guilt, the overwhelming feeling because I was like only like 24 weeks. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've already gained that much. So I started going up backwards, just walking up backwards.
So
and the nurses were like, I'm like, girl, I'm not looking.
Unless there's something wrong with me, tell me, but I don't need to know.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel you.
It's just worth it. It's not worth like that stress because it's true. Your body will do anything, and your body needs that. Like your body's gaining, especially if you're trying to live a healthy lifestyle, and even if you want to treat your hair in there, you're pregnant. I mean, you should be able to have that.
Right.
But you can't be too hard on yourself. I mean, anyway.
And I think it is true. I have started my pregnancies at different weights. But I know when I end this, I will weigh the same that I've weighed with every single pregnancy.
Totally.
I know I will because I'm like right there so close.
Isn't that crazy?
It's so crazy.
It is. Your body will do anything. But what I learned through my fitness journey is it's not even your body, it's your mind. And that's why this pregnancy was so different for me because I was in a completely different mindset. And I think that's why this postpartum was different for me too. Has been anyway. I mean, I've only been 3 weeks into it, but
yeah.
I also saw on your Instagram story that you were saying that you have felt better after this one.
Yeah, like just physically, you mean? Totally. And I think that like the working out has a lot to do with that.
Helped you come back faster.
Yeah, and like I said, I think I know a lot of people can't do that, but I pushed myself more because I was doing much more before.
Yeah.
So I was still able to lift heavy weights and do yoga poses and stuff. But it helped me so much more. He was my biggest, and it was the easiest labor.
So cute. I can't stop staring.
Yeah, everything's just been so nice. And I started walking like the first week after I had him, and
I stalk her. I'm like, "How is this stroller? Does it work well?"
Yeah.
Everything that you get, I feel like, okay, I'm gonna go off of that.
Totally. And I like send you I'm like, yes, and this and this and this.
It's helpful. It's overwhelming. Kaylee and I were talking about like strollers and car seats, and
there's so much nowadays.
Yeah. He's only 3 weeks old, you guys. His name's Henry.
Yes.
Baby Henry. He's so
3
sweet.
weeks.
So do you have tips on, because I've been so afraid of postpartum, like it's like with Cooper, I had it so bad.
Yeah.
I was also in such a different place, so I know it's like not as comparable.
Yes.
But do you have like tips that you could give us on us preparing for having these babes?
Yeah, for sure. I know it's scary. It's funny because I feel like once you start wanting to get pregnant, it's terrifying. And then you don't get pregnant and it's devastating. And then you're pregnant and it's terrifying. And then you get these milestones, you know, like the 12-week, the 20-week, the 35-week, or whatever it is. And then you have them and you're like, okay, you've been worrying this whole time. And then it's this relief, this beautiful relief once you have him. And then it's just like your hormones go crazy.
Yes.
So for me this time, I just feel like immediately, initially, you have to give yourself grace. Like, give yourself patience. Let yourself feel what you want to feel. And just be willing to be okay with having up days and down days. Another huge thing for me was communicating with Jeff, my husband.
Yeah.
He had a hard time because I struggled really bad with Baylor, with that postpartum and with breastfeeding and everything. And he's been really nervous about that. And so I just kind of told him, like, let's not even think about the other babies.
Right.
Like, if I'm crazy, it's okay, you know? And
you kind of saw a little bit of it. So.
Yeah. And I'm like, and you know, we have other kids too. So we immediately are trying to plan and schedule and figure out as far as, okay, you take the kids this time and let me have my time here. And really communication is so important. I did something really crazy with this pregnancy. I capsulated my placenta.
I've been wanting to talk to somebody who did that.
Yes.
And you feel good about it?
Yeah, it's been amazing. Okay, so my friend...
You need to talk to my husband. He's like, what is this weird hippie crap that you want to do?
Yeah.
I'm like...
My husband was weirded out. My mom, my sisters, because I have them in my labor room because we're so close. But we were talking about it and they were just like dying.
Yeah.
Because I didn't tell anybody.
My son cannot. He's like, you're going to eat your body parts. I'm
I
like,
know.
no, it's not like that.
Casey was confused and just thought the whole time that, because with Winston I wanted to do it. I lived in California, so many people did it. He kept thinking that I wanted to eat my umbilical cord.
Like a sausage.
It's like, no.
It's so funny, people. Yeah.
It's even uglier than the umbilical cord.
It's actually worse, but we'll keep pretending
Yeah,
that.
it just made me laugh.
Well, it's funny because actually it comes from Asian culture, and they will cook it in a soup or like blend it in a smoothie, and they'll eat it sometimes even raw.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it started. But my friend that I met here, we've only been in Utah for 2 years, but she's had 4 kids. She was a surrogate and had 2 twins for this surrogate.
That's amazing.
Just incredible woman. And she kind of told me about it. She's like, you have to do this. And I was like, why not? Like,
yeah, let's try
I have nothing against it. I did a lot of research, and it's funny though, because as a nurse, I remember patients like wanting to keep them, and of course I thought they were cuckoo.
You're like, what?
But I was very close-minded back then as well, because I was like, what are they doing, you know? But I feel like I kind of missed out with my others doing it. Absolutely. So this girl came, and I'd never met her, and it was funny because I'm like, to the labor nurse, I'm like, you're going to think I'm crazy, but will you save my placenta? So on the board they wrote like, save placenta.
You're like,
so my mom walks in, and she was like, what are you doing?
Christmas gifts for all of you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just giving you a piece of my life. So, I did it, and the benefits are a lot. Like, your milk comes in faster, you don't lose your hair, you have your hormones replaced. So she explains it as it's a gift made by you for you, because it's not yours or the baby's. It's something that is released when you have the baby, but it's there, full of these nutrients for you.
Right.
And it makes sense, like the concept makes sense. So, she prepares it, and then the next day she brought it. Like, I got home from the hospital, and she was there waiting for me and handed them to me in capsules, and
they're just like pills at that point, like vitamins.
Yeah,
right?
Totally. And they don't have like an aftertaste. It's not like weird. And you keep them in the fridge, and you can take them 3 times a day, just depending on how much you feel like you need them.
I'm so glad you talked about this, because I made a video on my maternity Monday that I wanted to like eat my placenta. It was more like, click on this video because this girl's crazy. She's gonna eat her placenta. But like I hadn't really heard anything negative. And so, but my doctor was like, if you have a healthy relationship with your husband, and he talked about communication, how that was really important, and just having a good diet.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's probably where I could struggle. So the placenta thing, I was like, I really wanted to do that. But now talking to you, I'm like so interested.
How many pills do you get, and how long does it last? And
it just depends on how big your placenta is.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Love it.
I know, you guys.
So
it's
cool.
It's so crazy. But she gave me like a glass jar, maybe like this big, and it came with like full of that many pills. And what's crazy is she told me that you can freeze them and keep them for menopause.
Okay.
Because they are full of these hormones.
I think I'm gonna do it.
So also, like, after you run out, do the benefits keep lasting from taking them, or will you then lose your hair?
It's like prolonging that process.
Totally. What she mentioned, I mean, I imagine you would lose a little bit of hair, but what she mentioned is you just take them with how you feel emotionally too, because there's such a hormone balance. Because your progesterone's so up when you're breastfeeding, and that's kind of where it goes all whack, you know.
Right.
So it helps you get that balance, which I've totally felt. And it's a little bit hard because I'm like, was it my exercising and diet during pregnancy, or was it placenta pills? But I think it's both. Because this has been my best recovery. But she did say that some people will take them excessively, like, you know, every 3 times a day until they're run out, and then they kind of are like, oh no, I'm feeling postpartum depression, and it doesn't happen with everybody, but she says if it's gonna happen, it will happen because those hormones are gone, kind of thing.
Right.
So she like recommends kind of tapering off of them, and then just kind of feeling how your body feels, and but it's just a smoother transition into postpartum life and transitioning.
That
you know,
makes
after having a
sense. Like,
baby.
instead of just like kind of cold turkey,
Totally.
it's like, let's ease you back into this.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And I would love to normalize it more, because I'm like, you know, I think people are nervous too to be like, I'm gonna have my
Well, I think like people don't know, like you don't like grab it from your
totally
and take a bite into it, you know. It's like, I mean, and if you do that, that's fine. I'm not judging.
I can't think about that right now.
The pill form, but
I know, it seems so crazy. It's funny, I was talking to my friend and I was like, well, you know that all mammals do it. Like, I grew up on a cattle ranch, and I, you know, helped in plenty,
true.
and all cows eat the placenta right after.
Yeah.
And she was like, what? Really? I'm like, yeah.
I think dogs do too, or do they just eat the...
I'm pretty sure it's all mammals, but I could be so wrong on that.
I've heard that too.
They'll let us know in the comments, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You guys help us out.
You're gonna, So anyway, it's totally helped.
Yeah.
That's something that
I
I
love
would
it.
recommend if you and your husband feel comfortable. Obviously, it's only you. It's only for you. You can't give them to anybody, but it's definitely something that's helped.
Yeah.
So
I think I'm going to do it now, because I was like on the fence about it.
yeah, you just find somebody
try
that'll
it.
do it, and they like take it into their home and they do their
it.
thing to it and bring it back.
I mean, like, can you imagine being that person? Like,
I know.
Straight, like, that's awesome.
She sat down
you
with
know?
us because my mom was like, okay, sit down, I have questions. So she like went through the whole process, and it was really fascinating.
Was your mom like more eased about it after that? Or
Yeah,
was she still like,
I don't know if she was more like concerned more than just like, oh, I don't know if this works, you know?
yeah.
So we kind of joke about it. Me and my sisters are like, placenta pills.
Are any of your sisters still having babies? Do you think they
I
would try
know.
it?
No, I'm actually the youngest
Okay.
daughter, girl.
Okay.
So they all have like 5, 4, 3 kids.
So they're done, yeah.
Yeah, so this is the last.
Maybe they're jealous. Like, I should have done that to
I
my
know. I
placenta.
really am telling them. I'm like, you guys, you should have done the placenta pills. Because it's been so wonderful.
I mean, because like, what can it hurt? Like, I don't think it can make
Exactly.
you have more postpartum.
I've
right?
actually heard from one person. She has a video, and she said that she felt like it increased those feelings. Like the hormones kind of worked. She stopped taking them because she had more postpartum. So I think that there are rare cases maybe, and I think you just need to like
Listen to
be
your
aware
body,
and
yeah.
listen to your body and
Yeah, because
know
if it
what's
does
going
make
on.
it worse, you could just stop taking
right,
them.
yeah.
You know?
She just stopped taking them and it was fine.
Well, and the lady said that if you're starting to feel sick, don't take them because it'll feed on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I thought I had a cold. It ended up being allergies, but I didn't take them for a while because I felt when I took them that it was making it worse.
Yeah.
So I think they're just so full of nutrients and hormones and stuff that, I mean, you just have to listen to see if it works and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's helped a lot.
I think the good news is it's not super expensive. Like the things I looked into have been pretty affordable, so I don't feel like you're really losing anything.
Yeah, it's a good, I feel like it's something that you can invest in. It's like a good investment.
Yeah.
A good, something to good.
Yeah, that's
you know,
exciting. I'm so glad you did that.
Yeah, that's definitely been helpful.
So you really focus on like loving your body and appreciating your body. Do you have any advice for like postpartum? Like, how do you get back to that place?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think never leaving that place because it's really easy to, and I kind of talked about this through my blog and on Instagram and stuff, but it's really easy to feel like you're like kind of losing yourself. And you're completely dedicating yourself to this human, and that's okay to say. Like, people kind of step around it, and it's not hard, but it is. It's really hard. But embracing where you're at always and completely and fully is so huge for me and has been this whole pregnancy. I remember when I started gaining weight, I told myself that I wouldn't stop posting workout videos, and I told myself I wouldn't stop posting me in workout clothes, and it was hard, but I did it, and it was so empowering for me because I knew that it was giving me the confidence, and it was telling myself again, like, no, this is a beautiful place. Like, this is wasn't a beautiful place.
Right.
So, you know, like giving grace to yourself, like I said before, but also just never telling yourself that you lost it in the first place. You know, I remember I left the hospital, and we took pictures because I've been having progress pictures of my postpartum body. And then I told myself, I'm not just going to take pictures. Like, I'm going to video on my Insta stories for my followers what my body's doing. Because I don't think a lot of people do that. I think they like hide and hibernate, which is normal. And it's something that I want to do too. But I was like, we need to normalize this.
Yeah.
It's okay to feel beautiful with how you feel. And it's hard to feel beautiful when you have a bread dough stomach and you've got engorged boobs.
Leaking milk everywhere.
But it's okay. I think beauty can find itself in difficult times and in times when you feel ugly. You know, it's so much more beauty from mentally as well.
Yeah.
So I found so much power and for me, it's sharing. Like, I find power in sharing, and you know, it might be different for somebody else, but every week I get on my Insta story and I stand in front of my mirror and I say, you know, this is what my body looks like, and this is how I feel mentally, and this is how I feel physically, and this is what my stomach looks like, and more than anything, it's for me, because after I'm done, I always feel more empowered. Like, good for you, Sadie. You're not hiding. You are embracing that, and I think that's just so important. You know, I do a lot of exercises to help that as well, not just sharing, but a lot of self-love exercises and meditation. I always wake up every morning, and this helped a lot because I had a lot of anxiety in my first trimester, and I never experienced that before. And before I get out of bed, I just close my eyes and have a prayer of gratitude. So I'm just, you know, thanking for everything. And, you know, a grateful heart, more than anything, has taught me how to be happy.
Yeah.
I feel like that is like the key to happiness that people don't understand, which is hard to find when you're sad or when you're struggling. But if you find that you're either writing in a grateful journal or you know, praying with gratitude, he's like waking up, and that helps. And I do a lot of self-love exercises with myself in the mirror, and I won't look at my body, but I'll look at myself straight in the eyes and tell myself that I'm strong and that I'm beautiful and that I'm enough. And that helped throughout my whole pregnancy as well. And it's still hard. Like, I feel like every day is difficult. You wake up and it's so easy when you're getting ready, even today. And I'm wearing my maternity pads still, and will be for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so easy to get caught up in, well, I don't fit in those jeans, or but as long as you're feeling, you know, heart full of gratitude, and you're grateful, and you see yourself for how you are, which is beautiful, you know.
Yeah. Well, and
important.
Jackson and I were talking about the other day. He's like, who defines like these numbers?
Absolutely.
Like these. He used this huge word that I don't even know, like albatross numbers or some word that means like these numbers that are made up. He's like, it's like in his job, it's making a certain amount of money that defines your success. And like in our world, kind of numbers all the time. Our followers, our views. And like with women, it's the weight. It's just like we're always so focused on these numbers that really have no meaning.
Yeah.
And when he said that, it kind of like struck a nerve. I was like, that's so true. Like, what does that number mean? Because really, have we ever been happy with a number, you know? Unless the doctor was like, 2 more weeks and then you're having your baby. Then I'm like, I can focus on that.
Yeah.
I loved what you said, though. That was so helpful. I think, like, postpartum is not talked about enough.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I just think it's so important. And, you know, go on walks. Feel human, but feel your feelings as well. If you're sad, cry it out, and then tell yourself tomorrow's going to be a better day, and communicate. And, you know, there's just so many little things that you can do to help. And it's a difficult time, but it's possible. And I was going to mention, what you said really made me think of something. I post pictures of my stretch marks, and I'm like, I don't know who back in the history of time, some dude got the
Probably.
Yeah. Or woman, whoever it was, pointed at those and called them imperfections. Like, I'm not sure who gave the right to that person to do that. But what's crazy is we have the power to not allow people to, like, define what's beautiful and perfect on us.
Right.
And so, sorry, I'm, like, trying to say it so eloquently. But I'm, like, still a pregnancy brain. But I call my stretch marks wear marks because I feel like they're just such a definition of what I've given up and what I've sacrificed and what I have in return.
Yes.
And I choose to see them as perfect, you know, and I think that you can choose to see yourself as perfect and still continue to improve. You know, I think that it's important to feel that way, and instead of focusing on what we can do better, focusing on what we have and embracing that as perfect.
Yeah, because then we'll never, it's like this thing we're never going to fulfill, and that's like an endless like game that just is sad, you know?
You have to find happiness in where you're at, because if you're constantly chasing that, I'll feel happy this, or I'll feel happy with this, you'll never feel happy. That's not what you're trying to find.
It's like that quote, like, happiness isn't a destination, it's a state of mind. Like, you have to decide right now, not when you get to this point.
Yeah, totally.
One more thing I wanted to say about how you documented your pregnancy and you put it out there. I also think that it is a great idea to do for yourself. I took a lot of pictures with Winston, my last baby, and I feel like I was able to look through them and be grateful, like you said.
Totally.
Like, just so grateful watching my belly grow. And that pregnancy with him, I learned so much about myself, and I learned to love myself, and I learned to accept myself. And I think it was because I did document that. I didn't allow myself to do that with the other two.
Yeah.
But I just love, even still now I'll look back at that and I feel empowered, and I've done the same thing with this one because I love my body and I'm grateful, and I think that is something to always keep in mind, just to be grateful and to feel strong and empowered by what you've done.
How many times have we heard our moms even, or someone say, you know, I didn't take that picture, or I wasn't feeling good at that time. It's such a fleeting moment. Life is so fleeting, and 2 years down the road, who knows if you'll be so, and usually you are. You're sad that you didn't document that time in your life.
Right.
And pregnancy is such a beautiful time, and oftentimes you don't feel beautiful when you have it, so you don't take pictures, but man, just for yourself. Yeah. Absolutely, I totally agree with that.
It's funny when you look back and you're like, I didn't even look as bad as I thought. Like,
Absolutely.
There's so many pictures I have on my phone, like, I would, in the moment, I'm like, I'm not posting this, I don't look.
Yes.
And then I look back, I'm like, I should have posted that for sure.
Well, especially your pregnancy, because it lasts such a short time, and it really is like, this is uncomfortable, but it is so beautiful.
So beautiful. I know, I feel like it went so fast. Like, when I was done, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so good. Like, I was ready, but I was like, wow, it's done. Oh my gosh.
And then you like miss it.
Yeah, it's such
weird,
a beautiful, beautiful time. And I don't know, it's amazing. Women are beautiful and powerful, and I just wish everybody knew that. I wish I could reach through the screen and touch everybody and hug them and just show them the love that they deserve and that they should be showing to themselves.
You really are doing that, though. You really are making such a big difference. And thank you for sharing so much of you and inspiring us.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it was so beautiful. I feel like we could talk to her all day.
Yes, we definitely could.
Party. Pregnancy. Baby party.
Well, be sure to check out her blog, Simply Sadie Jane, especially if you are kind of in the same place and needing to just feel comforted and not alone. And thank you again for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Champion. This is me.